Hello fellow YouTubers, this is VE3HDB, Dave in Scarborough. I'm making an update to a video I shot about a year ago for the little device I have here in my hand, the DVAP. And this is the first hotspot I purchased back when I was only running D-Star. And I made a video on how to take this on the road. And although the video I made then was an accurate video, a good way to do it. Unfortunately, I didn't have a very good audio system for my recording. I actually used a little camera which has a pretty poor microphone, didn't pick up much, and as a result, a few of my viewers thought that it was almost impossible to hear, and when I listened to it again recently, I realized they were absolutely right. So I'm going to make a new one. And at the same time, I'll show you how I do it now. I've learned a few tricks since then, and one of them is how to hook up wirelessly and not need to use a cable to connect to the router. So I'm going to show you here a few items that I have that I can use to take this thing on the road, and I'll show you exactly how I do that in a moment. Okay, so here we have the components of my mobile D-Star. We'll call it a hotspot / repeater. So, of course, with the DVAP, you need a computer. Excuse me. In this case, the little Raspberry Pi. This is the new Raspberry. Well, it's not new, but it's new to me. This is the Raspberry Pi 3, and it has Wi-Fi, so I no longer need to connect up via the Ethernet cable, but I still need to be able to connect up to my phone, and herein lays the issue that I've just recently figured out how to do, and that involves this little TP-Link, which I guess you could call a 3G router. And when I made the first video, the only way I knew to hook it up to the internet was through a little dongle that plugs in here, and put my SIM chip from my phone into the dongle, and then hook up the Raspberry Pi through the RJ45 cable. Since then, I've realized that this nice little rig here can be used to connect up directly using the sorry about that. Directly using the Wi-Fi capability of the Raspberry Pi 3. Okay. Okay, so the first thing we need to do to make this work wirelessly is to set the little switch there to the middle position. And the middle position is called WISP. And I forget what that means right now. At any rate, you set it to the middle position, and then you power it up, and you go in with a laptop or a computer, connect up to it wirelessly, and set the access point to the name of whatever you're using. In my case, it would be the phone here. So I would connect up to the hotspot function of my Note 2 or Note 4, whichever one I happen to be using. So I don't have to take the SIM outside of the phone. I can still use the phone as a phone and also provide a hotspot for my wireless solution here. And that includes this wireless router. If you want to see how to do that, if you want to see how to configure this router, the TP-Link TL landing's not so good. MR3020. If you look at my video for the Shark RF, which I made before this video, you can see exactly how to configure it to work as a wireless repeater, and that will connect up to any LAN or any hotspot that you want it to. And you can see there in the middle of the picture the TP-Link battery, which powers all my units. And so basically what you see here is, I think, everything we need to go mobile. So let's go ahead and assemble this. Okay, so here's how we do it. You see on the left, between the radio and the white square here, is the DVAP. Okay. This is a TP-Link MR 3020, which is a wireless 3G router, 3G and 4G router. And what that does is it allows me to connect up via Wi-Fi. Now, the DVAP doesn't have Wi-Fi capabilities, so I need something like this in the middle, just like I do with the Shark RF, which I'll add into the picture because I want to make a comment in a minute about the Shark RF. I've already made a video about the Shark RF, and I think I called it Taking the Shark RF on the Road. So let's call this one Taking the DVAP on the Road. Okay, so here's the procedures. First of all, we have to hook everything up. So the first thing we'll do is we'll connect up the DVAP to the TP-Link router. And we do that like this. Excuse my hands. Plug that in there. Oops, sorry. Plug this in here. And then we plug the other end into the Raspberry Pi. This is a Raspberry Pi 3. I got the Raspberry Pi 3 because it has Wi-Fi capabilities. Okay, so we plug that into the Raspberry Pi 3. Now what we have to do is we have to get internet to the Raspberry Pi 3. And that's what I use the TP-Link for. Okay. Yep. So what I did is I put one on top of the other. That makes it nice for transporting. Let's get all the cables in the right direction. Are we still going? Looks like it. Yeah. And I use this little device, this little zip tie, to hold everything in place. Now you want to, when you take this on the road, you want to make sure that you've got adequate cooling, because it does get warm if you keep it in a bag or something like a bag. Okay. The reason I have to use a screwdriver is I've used this zip tie so many times that it doesn't automatically latch. But once it does, it holds quite well. Okay. So, all right, so we've got the Raspberry Pi connected to the DVAP. Now we want to power up the Raspberry Pi. Now, this is take 2 of this video. I've been having some issues with the Raspberry Pi. No big surprise there. But I'm crossing my fingers this time. Most of it's been power issues. There we go. Now it's working. I wonder why it didn't work before. Okay, so as you can see, the Raspberry Pi is booting. This will take a little while. Now the next thing we want to power up is the wireless router. And we'll connect that to our little battery. Oop, 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 oop. Don't fall over. Oh, maybe we're still having issues. Anyways, let's put this in the mix. There goes the Oh, that's what it was. It was waiting for the internet. It just initialized. The DVAP just initialized. And we now have an operating station, an operating digital D-Star station. This is already ready to go. The only thing we need to wait for is to make sure that we are connected to the internet. So we're waiting here for the... Oh, I should have turned my radio on for that. That's loud enough. Okay, the TP-Link takes forever to boot. And I think it's coming close to that now. Actually, I think my DVAP is actually connected. I mean, my TP router is actually connected to my home LAN. So, but it could just as easily connect to my phone here if I put it into hotspot mode. Okay, let's see if I have the software on this phone that will allow me to control it. And of course, I don't. Okay. And if I'm very careful. Okay, so the Raspberry Pi is already booted. The blue light is flashing, although you can't really see it here. Yeah, because it's under this label. And we're just waiting for the TP-Link to initialize. And as soon as it does, there'll be a connection to the internet. Looks like it's connecting now. Okay, let's see if we're connected to something. Not yet. Methinks I'm going to have to reboot the Raspberry Pi. Okay. Okay. DVAP is initialized. Raspberry Pi is initializing. You can see the green light flashing. That means we are prepared, but have yet to actually initialize. You'll see the blue, yellow, and red light flash when it's ready to go. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it just went right into... Yeah, okay. Oh, there it goes. See the red light? And we hear confirmation on the device here that we're not linked. So let's go ahead and link to something. Oh, there's the problem. Okay. Let's link to reference reflector 1 Charlie. I don't know if you can see that, but it's reflector 1 Charlie. Oh, looks like somebody's... Okay, it's connected. We're connected through the internet.